All righty, it's 7 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. This is the Hillcrest Middle School Building Committee. This is a virtual meeting tonight. It's March 3rd, 2026, 7 p.m. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. Do appreciate it. What I'd like to do is call the roll call, make sure, and that'll be recorded for Barbara. Barbara is out tonight. So she's going to be making the minutes via the recording that we're going to be giving her later on. But I'd like to start the roll call, and if you could just take your mute off so that we can hear you. Andy Lubin,
Here.
J.C. Chinelli,
Here.
Bill Mecca,
Here.
Fran Baskerville,
Here.
Ann Sather,
Here.
John Morello,
Here.
Bob Gerbert, and Jeff Alterman.
Here.
All right, great. Thanks, everybody, again. At this point, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I would love to use the flag behind John, but I think we're going to have to use the one that I have so that everybody could see it. So I'm going to just put the screen on, and I will share my screen in a second. Okay, and let's just do this. We're going to share this screen here, and we'll bring the image up. Does everyone see the flag?
I do not.
No.
You do not see it? Okay, we'll try again.
I'd like to take this moment to remind everyone we pledged allegiance to a picture with a flag on it about a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was good stuff.
Was that a year ago?
Yes, just about.
Wow. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's get started. If you don't mind taking yourself off mute. So we'll start. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice.
justice for all. Thank you very much, everybody. Take that down and we'll stop sharing. Okay, so we did the roll call. We're going to do the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which, believe it or not, was February 10th. It does seem a long time ago with the weather that we've been having through the month, but can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
That was
Second.
Andy. Second, that was Ann.
Second Ann. Yep.
Beautiful. Any discussion, any comments on the minutes? Hearing none. Could I get an approval by saying aye?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any abstentions?
Aye.
What was that? No abstentions? Okay. No nays, motion, and the minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda will be public comment. Are there any public comments for tonight? If you can, you have to identify yourself and we'll let you speak. Are there any comments?
Yes, if there are any members of the public who would like to make a comment, please press the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen or press *9 if you're on the phone.
Looks like there isn't any, Bill?
No, that is correct.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we're going to the next item on the agenda, which is the review and approval of invoices. And is there a representative from Arcadis on the line tonight?
Yep. Good evening,
Oh,
everyone.
Robert, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
There are no invoices for review and approval tonight.
Okay,
we'll have them at the next meeting.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next item, which is a presenter. And what we've done is we've asked Chris Friesel from the Connecticut Associated Builders and Contractors. He happens to be the president. to speak to us about contracts for Connecticut Public Schools. As you guys recall, a few weeks ago, we heard from Dan McInerney, who's a local electrician from Union 488, and he talked about the 7 benefits of the PLA. What we're going to do is hear a little bit from Chris and his take on contracts. Chris, I don't know if you're able to share your screen and join us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Joe, and thank you everyone for the opportunity tonight. As mentioned, my name is Chris Frixel. I'm the president of the Connecticut chapter of the Associated Builders and Contractors. We're a statewide trade association representing merit shop contractors in Connecticut. We represent about 260 businesses here in Connecticut. And so I appreciate the opportunity to talk about project labor agreements. I have a presentation I'll give. I'm happy to take all questions or comments. Feel free to interrupt if you'd like, but of course I'll stick around as long as necessary. So let me do this. And so essentially, we are vehemently opposed to project labor agreements, and I will explain why. A project labor agreement really is a unique pre-bid hiring contract that sets forth requirements not found in most construction contracts. 25 states in the country prohibit the use of PLAs because they are discriminatory. They require contractors signing the agreement to adhere to union work rules, recognize the union as their representative on the job, pay into union benefit funds, and hire from a union hall. Again, I've mentioned they're discriminatory against open shop contractors, and they will not bid these. In the United States, about 89% of the industry chooses not to be part of a union. Here in Connecticut, it's 85%. Of the workforce is open shop. A lot of people are surprised to hear that, but it is true. And so the supporters of PLAs really are the labor unions because they benefit directly from having a job operating under those union favorable rules. It's a no bid contract. So this is a contract that's pre-bid, and it essentially guarantees all of those labor costs go into the union. It really is a marketing tool, as you will see throughout this presentation. So one of the biggest things that I want to make clear is that a choice of not utilizing a PLA means that all contractors and all workers have the opportunity to work on that job. So our position is not one of union versus open shop. It's really only union under the PLA or opportunity for everybody if you choose not to use a PLA. In fact, most public non-PLA projects have a large and often majority union workforce. So again, just driving home the fact that our position here is not in any way, shape, or form anti-union. It's all about free, fair, and open competition. I know there's a lot of comments made about safety guarantees under a project labor agreement that's simply not verified by fact. There's no existing OSHA data that proves PLAs deliver accident-free construction projects. Unfortunately, accidents do happen in construction. They happen on jobs with PLAs and without PLAs. But this is a prevailing wage job, which requires an OSHA 10 card for everyone, whether they are union or open shop workers. That is a requirement under the job. There are also claims of no strike, no lockout. So PLAs will prohibit the building trades from strikes and lockouts that could lead to work stoppages or delays. However, these really just don't happen. There aren't instances of construction strikes in Connecticut since the Labor Action Tracker by Cornell University started tracking this data. A PLA feasibility study in 2018 commissioned by the state of Connecticut was unable to confirm any instances of labor unrest resulting in material delay of a construction project. So really, this is a solution in search of a problem. There have been instances on PLA projects where there have been union strikes. So again, it has happened, but this is really not something that is of a major concern on construction projects, specifically here in Connecticut. Job site regulations. There's another misconception that PLAs will provide better protection to workers. So I know we hear a lot about the guarantee of wages and benefits. Again, this is a prevailing wage job. So prevailing wages are mandated, and that's going to be the case whether it's a project labor agreement or not. There are worker classification mandates. So each worker on the job must be correctly classified as employees and receive benefits. And of course, law mandates that each employer carry the appropriate workers' compensation insurance. These are strict laws. They are well enforced, and the PLA does not ensure anything different. Workforce development is another one. Open shop companies, this is a total misconception, often take advantage of apprenticeship and craft training programs. They must have a highly skilled and competitive workforce. Most apprentices in the state of Connecticut are registered by open shop contractors. Here at ABC, we actually founded the Construction Education Center, which is a apprenticeship training school. We are approved by the Commissioner of Higher Education to operate as a private occupational school, and we work very closely with the Department of Labor. There are many other avenues for training outside of our school, including the state technical high school system. Our members devote a lot of investment toward workforce investment, and any project without a PLA has access to all qualified apprenticeship programs and apprentices. Local workers. So this is another one. Despite promises, PLAs, the language will include. So you may hear guarantees of local hire, but really all the PLA does, once you look at the language, is include a good faith effort to hire local labor on the project. If they fall short of those goals, there are no consequences. There's no consequences baked into the PLA. But really, what I want to drive home is, I mentioned earlier, 85% of the workforce is open shop in this state. You have a lot of construction workers in Trumbull who have opted not to join a union. And signing a PLA is going to leave those workers out from the opportunity to work on this job. There's a workforce shortage. I'm sure you've all heard it. It's been everywhere. ABC estimates we need an additional 349,000 construction workers just to meet current demand and backlog. And given that critical and growing shortage of construction workers, now is the worst time to prevent the majority of available skilled workers from being able to participate in this project. So you don't want to take an already depressed workforce and shrink it even further by eliminating the majority of the industry from having the opportunity to work on this project. Quickly on minority businesses, small businesses, I looked up just yesterday, there are 302 minority business, small business certified DAS pre-qualified contractors in the state of Connecticut. Only 28% of those are union contractors. And then if you look at just the minority businesses, there are 101 certified DAS pre-qualified, again, limited to DAS pre-qualified contractors, and only 35 of those are union. So again, you're taking that pool when you're looking to meet set-aside requirements, and you're taking a small pool and you're shrinking it down significantly by signing a project labor agreement. On time and on budget, we hear this all the time, and it's just a promise without any backing to it. They promise PLAs will bring projects in on time, on budget. There's really no magic contract that can guarantee that. And in fact, oftentimes PLAs can be the reason for significant cost overruns, which I'll get into. So there's just no truth that a PLA is going to guarantee this project's on time or on budget. We have a number of studies. So in 2020, Beacon Hill Institute looked at specific to Connecticut school construction. They looked at 95 school construction projects in Connecticut, comparing PLA projects to non-PLA projects. And their conclusion was that PLAs led to a 19.84% higher cost than similar projects without PLAs. Significant. Another study, this one done by the RAND Corporation, looked at, this is specific to affordable housing, but they had very similar findings. Those that used PLAs reduced the total housing produced, and they increased the costs. In that study, they found the cost increased to be around 14.5%, and it actually resulted in fewer housing units from being built because of those cost increases. There are a couple other studies I know that proponents of PLAs often cite. One of them is the effect on project labor agreements on the cost of school construction in New England. They actually verified Beacon Hill study that I already mentioned as pioneering research. And this was run by AFL-CIO and the North American Building Trades. So that's who did the study. And they actually found that PLAs were estimated to raise construction costs by 3.3%. So that's actually a study run by the building trades. Another one they often cite is this one by Fred Kotler in New York State. And this is actually, if you read it, which you should, it's not a study, it's an opinion piece that they're not utilizing data to come to their conclusions. And then third, which I'll get into, is this San Diego Unified School District study that the proponents of PLAs often cite. And in this one, and this is, again, study that they cite, this study determines the number of general contractor bidders and participating subcontractors per project declined for PLA projects. They refer to them as PSA, but it's the same. They also identified that construction quality is the same for PSA projects as it is for non-PSA projects. They found the number of bidders was reduced when those PLAs were utilized. And while their study found bids to be under budget for the PLA projects, they were even more under budget when a PLA was not utilized. And this is a review of those bids. It showed that the district is paying almost 22% premium for projects bid under the union-only terms, whereas the PLA projects were 9.7% under the district's budget. The non-PSA projects were 31.6% under budget. It also showed that the promise of local hire fell short of goals. So how do the PLAs increase costs? I'll get into that. There are labor costs. Best contractors can't use most or all of their existing workforce. There are inefficient union work rules that lead to lost productivity. So open shop contractors can use cross-skilling, for example. And there's also double health and pension costs to open shop contractors who do pursue PLAs. There are compliance costs, attorney costs and delays, which we've actually seen with PLAs, issues with collective bargaining agreements. There's also competitive costs, and I think this is truly the biggest one by far. Reduction in competitive bidding. So those that do bid, knowing there's a PLA, it's going to reduce their competition. So they know it's a PLA. They don't need to sharpen their pencils the same way, knowing that 85% of their competitors are being removed from the process. It also leads to fewer quality subcontractors to choose from. So those subcontractors are not bidding the PLA job, again, reducing those competition. So I mentioned they depress competition. You don't have to take it from me. I've included a quote here from a project coordinator at ONG. And he stated during a hearing on the Middletown project that, normally you may expect 7 or 8 bids, but on a PLA, you're only going to get 3 or 4. And obviously, the more bids, the more competitive the bidder is for the project. So sometimes I know I hear this, and you probably have as well. Well, PLAs, everyone is allowed to bid. And yes, it's true. It's stated in state law. They cannot prevent open shop contractors from bidding on PLA jobs. I understand that's the law. But in reality, open shop contractors are not going to bid the job. This includes the union hiring requirement. It includes the union representation and work rules requirement, union contribution requirement, and double benefit payment. So the PLA requires that hiring is done from union halls. Sometimes you're allowed to take key employees, but otherwise the union provides all of the labor on the job. So an open shop contractor who may have workers that have been with them for years, they're not going to leave their workers on the sideline to hire from the union hall to work on a PLA job. So they just won't bid it. Again, union representation and work rules, these are requirements in a PLA. Workers have to abide by these archaic union work rules, including strict jurisdictional work separation. There's often a source of bureaucratic frustration for employees and contractors. Open shop contractors, they excel at multi-skilling, and this is an area where open shop workers can produce work more efficiently. Not allowed under a PLA. Again, another reason why they will not bid these jobs. Double benefits. PLAs require non-signatory contractors to pay health and welfare fringe benefits to the union benefit funds, even if they have existing high-quality plans. So if I've got a 401k, I've got a health insurance plan for my employees, I'm already paying that. I'm not going to stop paying into that. I also have to pay into the union benefit fund. Not going to do it if I'm an open shop contractor. If they do sign the PLA and they're working on that project and paying into the union benefit fund, well, when you go to leave, you may have a withdrawal liability. A lot of the pension funds are underfunded. So when you leave, you can't just walk away. You've got to pay your fair share of what that liability is. And we've heard from contractors that have had to pay this, and they're not going to do it again. And those contractors that are smart enough not to sign a PLA, they understand the costs associated with that. Union contribution requirements. So there is not a requirement for workers to join the union. However, there is a requirement for them to pay non-refundable union. Usually they're identified as union representation fees. And these fees could include support for union pension contributions and other fees that go toward possibly political activities or other things. So again, those workers are not going to want to pay those union representation fees. There is a study that shows that PLAs actually equal wage theft. A recent study found non-union employees lose an estimated 34% of their total compensation package when working on a project under a PLA. This could be average pension allocation for union members, which is 19%. It could be dues withholding, which is 6%, and fair market healthcare premiums, which are normally 7% of total compensation, and union health insurance costs are actually 16%. So the loss to non-union workers being 9%. Another reason contractors aren't going to bid those if they're open shop. I go into a little bit of the fact here that these multi-employer pension programs are underfunded. And we did see President Biden a few years ago have to allocate $94 billion to bail out union pensions. But a lot of them are still underfunded despite that influx of cash. So AGC, a lot of people say, well, ABC, of course, you're going to say this. You guys represent open shop contractors, which we don't only represent open shop contractors, but here in Connecticut, a lot of union contractors are members of AGC. Well, they have the same finding as we do. So you don't have to just take it from me. You can see that they've done a study on government mandated labor agreements. That's what GMLA stands for. And they say that it will significantly increase the cost of a project for open shop contractors. And it can increase the cost of a project for a union contractor. And many contractors will simply decline to bid on public work that requires compliance with a government mandated labor agreement. They state as well that it removes the free market economic forces that help keep costs down for towns, cities, and the state. They surveyed their members. 88% responded PLAs would raise costs. 0% said it would lower costs. 82% said it would be harder to subcontract with small disadvantaged businesses compared to 5% saying it would be easier. 78% said it would be harder to find workers and subcontractors compared to 3% who responded it would be easier. and 73% said it would lengthen the time to complete projects, compared to just 1% who thought it would shorten time. So here's another quote, this one from the former Chief of Staff for Administration and Finance at UConn. He stated that PLAs raised the cost of a project by somewhere around 10% or more, and that UConn actively tried to limit the use of PLAs within the limits of political viability, which again goes to my point that this is really a political decision, not a decision based on what's best for the residents of Trumbull. So again, this is a unbiased view just based on personal experience working on construction projects at UConn. Going back to UConn, we have a case study. These were very similar timed projects. There was the South Campus Residence Hall, $215 million project, no PLA. Construction commenced on December 2022, on time, on budget, and a third of the subcontracts were issued to union subcontractors. Likewise, Mansfield Apartments was put out to bid December 2022. Original budget was $265 million, had a PLA attached. Budget was reissued at $295 million. Low bids came in over $315 million, and the project was pulled and may never be built. Norwich school construction, this was a recent one. Project labor agreement was approved on March 6th of 2024. And then by June 27th, the project was estimated to be over $50 million over budget. And this is what happens. Value engineering was needed to be done to get a better sense of costs. And you can see that they had to relook at the size of classrooms and design smaller classrooms to help fit inside the budget. So potential cost overruns could set up a scenario where project bids come in over budget. It may require additional funding, which we see a lot, value engineering and scope reduction. So you essentially get less of a project. So maybe in order to stay in budget, and the final project could be in budget, but you've got to remove things that you liked. You've got to make things smaller just so you can stay within your project budget. A couple of case studies. I've got a bunch here. I won't hit on all of them. I know it's a lot. I'm trying to be sensitive to time, but these are all projects that ran into issues at some point in the process that used PLAs, and they either had to go back and get more money, such was the case in Torrington. They may have had to value engineer to reduce the scope of the project, or they just ended up with a project over budget and behind schedule, such as the case in Bulkley High School, where a lot of trade packages had to be rebid due to low bidder participation. And some of the general trades packages had to be bid 3 times. School opened a year late, $61 million over budget. There's a few others. Benny Dover ended up, if you read the headlines, they were within budget and on time, but they had to do extensive value engineering to get the project within budget. State Pier, the Connecticut State Pier, I don't know if you guys follow the news that's been going on over the last few years on that. That was a $97 million job that is now in excess of $311 million. There is Hartford Dunkin' Donuts Park, also a PLA. The Yard Goats lost an entire season in that park. And the Big Dig, sort of the synonymous with construction boondoggle, that also was a PLA. But this goes to my point about not being union versus open shop. South Windsor, they built without a PLA, huge success. 17 of the 23 trade packages went to union shops. 56% of the workers were union workers. State of Connecticut, I attended a presentation a few years back. They use this as the gold standard, and in South Windsor proceeded with additional school projects without PLAs. Rocky Hill, same deal, built without a PLA, $11 million under the budget passed at referendum and ahead of schedule. Due to the efficient construction, the town actually added additional security betterments, including school guard glass throughout the building. Union contractors awarded 10 of the 21 bid packages, 40% of the total value. And so out Strawberry Hill nearby in Stanford, that was originally put out to bid with a PLA. Only 2 bids came in. They were $17 million over budget. Project was bid without a PLA, received 8 bids, and on budget. Again, that one also roughly 40% being done by union labor. Stanford West Hill Middle School, this one is very timely, actually. They decided to forego a PLA for the construction of the West Hill High School. Officials cited cost concerns, but also the fear of delays related to the PLA. And bid results finalized last month. That project's on track to be $50 million under budget. There's a mix of union and open shop contractors coming in as low bid on a variety of the trade packages. Just the MEP alone, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, the project saved $32 million compared to second bidder pricing due to a competitive process where all responsible contractors were able to compete. And this does not account for what I mentioned earlier, that if contractors know there's a PLA and they know that some of those competitive bidders won't be able to compete, they may have priced those second bids may have been even higher. So my recommendation, obviously, is that the only thing a PLA is going to ensure for you is that 100% of the workforce is union labor. It does not provide a more cost-effective job, does not provide a safer job or a better product. It doesn't provide any value to the taxpayers of Trumbull. The only beneficiary is the unions who get guaranteed union work and payment into those union funds. Similar projects to this one and bigger are routinely completed in Connecticut with union and open shop workers working side by side. And it really is the most effective way to bid the job without a PLA under a strong contract that focuses on safety, enforcement of state laws, and a competitive bidding process that provides the best value for the community and the children who are going to attend the school for years to come. There's a number of headlines here I've included. These are project labor agreement projects, and you can just see I've pulled these throughout the years. They go on. Issues. So again, PLAs do not guarantee things are going to go smoothly. You don't need to pay the premium for that. There's a couple of national headlines as well. Tappan Zee Bridge had a lot of issues. And so that's what I've got for you guys. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have or address any concerns that you have.
Thank you very much, Chris. I'd like to open up questions to the building committee. Anybody have any questions for Chris about what you just heard? Any questions at all?
I'll just add one more thing, that if you dig into project labor agreements, because there are schools in Connecticut that utilize them, you do often see, and for good reason, there is a reason that they tend to correlate very closely to the reimbursement rate from the state of Connecticut. So we often see project labor agreements on schools that have a reimbursement rate of 80, 90, 95%. I think I read here in Trumbull, you have a 44%. I could be wrong, but that's what I read. And so there's a reason for that. And that's because towns that are shouldering a majority of the cost are a little more concerned about, a competitive process where they're getting the best value for the money that they're paying. So.
Okay, last call for questions for Chris, and then we're going to jump into new business. So any questions for Chris? No, thank you very much, Chris. I do appreciate it. I wonder if you could do us a favor and make a PDF of that slideshow and send it to us for the record, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, I'm happy to. And thank you again, everyone, for your time and for the opportunity to address you tonight. Thank you.
Have a good night, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah.
All righty. So the next order of business is the architect's project update. Taisu Kim. Did I see Mike somewhere?
Yeah. Yes.
How you doing, Mike?
Good. Thank you very much. Brief update for tonight. We last met with you in February. We've continued technical documentation of the project. We met with our acoustical engineer. Did just send an updated acoustic report with recommendations. We'll forward that to the OPM and to the chair for your review and input. We've met with our civil landscape team, recognizing the early release package for the phase 1 documents to do further coordination. We received input from the fire marshal and Parks and Rec. We are endeavoring to schedule a school security and infrastructure meeting with all the stakeholders in the town. I believe that will occur next week. And we return to the educators for a review of the further delineation of the educational spaces, drilling down on specifics about equipment. The other upcoming meeting will be we're returning to the technology group, review tech and security specifications. So that's where we are. Any questions?
Mike, I recall last time we were together, there was a question about kitchen equipment. Did you want to briefly provide some information on that question?
Yes, I went out to our kitchen consultant, John Souza with Crabtree. He did provide a spec. I took a cut sheet of that and forwarded it to the OPM, and I think to you, Joe, as chair. There is a modest amount of warewashing for the food service operations. I will say that consistent with other locations where Trumbull is serving food, the A1 scheme is reliant on disposable trays, which may be the nut of that question, because I believe the question was phrased in the sense of sustainability of the dishwasher. I will say that Souza, our food service consultant, is very good at what they do, and they have laid out the kitchen with the idea that warewashing might increase in size over time should the school elect to go to washing of more cutlery and trays. So it will be adaptable in the future. We would have to cut into the wall a return window, which I think we would all recognize from the cafeterias that we all ate in back in the day. But at this time, Trumbull runs a pretty streamlined food service operation, which is reliant from a staffing standpoint on disposable trays. And so our design is consistent with that current policy.
Thanks, Mike. Ann, did you have any other questions about that? I think the
the
question was
question did come from
yours.
me. I appreciate the information. I can take that information to my colleague. I mean, perfect. That's a perfect answer. I did have another question in terms of timeline, and for my Trumbull public school friends here what now, after all these snow days, where are you at the end of the year, and will that impact the timeline at all? Do you guys know?
Well, Randall doesn't let us stop working because of snow.
No, I meant for the
construction
in June. The construction in June. That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah, I think it's more like construction in July, but that's not because of snow. But I will, if I can, and I'll put a pin in there for my construction partners who are a little further down on the agenda. Is that okay?
No, I meant I'm just asking Fran and those guys. What do you guys know when your end of the year is? Sorry.
Middle school and high school is the 22nd.
The
23rd, 22nd, Monday the 22nd.
The Monday, because we're closed that Friday for Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Of course,
Excellent.
that question is to the educators. Sorry that
That's all right. No,
I was
no,
in Q&A mode. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm relying on my training there. Sorry about that.
no worries.
Yeah, and I thought you were talking about when the fences were going to be set up and when we were going to start moving dirt around. That's what I thought you were asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just to chime in here through the chair. I think though it's also Trumbull Day, which is still fixed on that third weekend, right, of June. That's going to be the last hurdle, if you will, before this can move forward.
I think you're right, Bill, because I think we were going to try to set up after Trumbull Day so that we were not
Yes.
going to disrupt that. I mean, and Greg can talk to that a little bit later. And I don't think the snow days are going to impact us unless we have another 4 or 5 days of snow days,
Joe,
which
don't
means
even
everybody's just going to move to Florida.
Bite your tongue.
don't even put it out
Bite
there,
your
Joe.
tongue.
Right.
Okay.
We're-
So anyway, we'll ask our construction team after, see if they have any thoughts on that. There was something else that came up across the threshold, Mike. It had to do with some comments that you guys are receiving from AHJs. Is there anything that you would like to tell us about that, or is there anything that you need from us regarding some of those questions and some of those asks?
No, we do need to return to the AHJ with our interpretations of how to respond to those desires and the potential cost impact of those requests, and then we can better put the request in context. I'll just
Okay.
put it that way. I mean, we're talking about health and safety of school and its occupants, so we don't take these matters lightly. But these are value judgments ultimately, and we have to sort them with all the other priorities that are on the project. In the end, we want to continue partnering with the HJ, so we don't want to put anyone in a difficult position or compromise. But we could also track some of these. We either fold in these comments, understanding their value to the project, or we track them as alternates to let the building committee make a more informed decision.
Okay. So we don't have to do anything tonight. You're going to give us some more information a little bit later.
Yeah, still have some of these things in pencil, not in pen yet. Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
Joe, I'm not sure what we're talking about. Can you give me some background, please?
Sure. Mike, do you want to go through some of those?
Yes. In the context of reviewing the site logistics plan with the powers that be in the town, and with reviewing the design development documents, additional safety requests have come forward from the building officials in town, and some potential requests from Parks and Rec to expedite the readiness of the fields, using irrigation, using sod, etc. All of this is definitely value added to the project, but it does represent cost ultimately, so it needs to be sorted with the other project priorities. So I think,
Mike, were those, this is Andy, were
Hi,
those,
Andy.
however, reimbursable costs? I mean, if we resod the fields, are those state reimbursable costs?
Yeah, I don't think anything that I'm aware of yet put into question eligibility, other than perhaps the need now to pull water off of Daniel's farm, which creates some offsite improvements that would be ineligible. But not to pollute the waters. We do have a important school security and infrastructure meeting in which all the stakeholders come together and we work a pretty comprehensive checklist that starts with the building at the property line and goes all the way down to, what is the what is the lockdown mechanism at a classroom. And I think that is an important process that we need to complete on this project to make sure we're not missing anything. But also, puts all the stakeholders in the room together so that everyone can speak one time and we can help prioritize these things. So I don't want to, the reason we're not coming to you tonight with all of these items with a menu cost on them right now is that we really haven't sorted them into that context. I don't want to preempt any decision making. I'm just Joe's right to ask about it because they are important scopes of work that we are tracking.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any other questions for Mike and Taisu Kim, our architects?
I see Jack with his hand up.
Oh, there's Jack. Yeah.
Through the chair, if I could respond to Andy's concern about eligibility. If a field is going to be disturbed by our work, then it will be eligible for us to restore it. If we make improvements to other spaces that are not disturbed by the work, then there's the question about, justification and whether it would be eligible or not. But for the fields that Michael was mentioning, for instance, the new field between the drives that will go where the existing building now stands, that's brand new out of the ground. So anything that we do there, whether we upgrade to sod instead of seed, that sort of thing, that would make the field available more rapidly, those things would be eligible for reimbursement. And again, when we disturb something like the softball field, it's got to be put back to use anyway. It's a question of returning it, as promptly as possible. So if we can afford it, sodding would give you that field back sooner, and that also should be eligible for reimbursement.
Great. Thanks, Jack.
Okay. Any other questions for our architects tonight? Okay. Seeing none, we're going to jump to the next new business item, which is update from Arcadis. Is that going to be you, Jack, or Rob tonight?
I am sharing my screen now. All right, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
All right. So we have our agenda, some project updates, part of what we just spoke about now with the AHJ and athletic director requests and concerns. Our 90-day look ahead, financial summary, and also we have action request for Bismarck change order number 1. I don't know if that's going to be during the Arcadis presentation or Bismarck presentation, but have it here. So as mentioned, Jack and I did meet with the building official and fire marshal to review the design development documents. Out of that meeting, we did put together the third-party code review RFP, as they did want to have a third party doing the code review and not handling in-house. So that RFP is in the packet. It's on the streets as of last week, and it's due back by the March 25th. We have the multi-vista proposal update. So we received the update following the presentation at our last meeting. Question? Nope. And then our OGA discussion. So we had our project meeting earlier today and trying to fine tune our scheduling our OGA PCR meeting. That's our pre-conformance review meeting with the state, making sure we hit all their checklists and our documents are in line with their requirements. And that gives us our approval to go out to bid for phase 1. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So back to some of the AHJ comments. When we met with Megan Murphy, she said there's a requirement to have a drivable emergency vehicle access on the east side of the building. So currently we have a roadway that vehicle and apparatuses can reach the north, west, and south sides of the building. With the east side of the building, because of the terrain, we weren't able to give them the amount of space to have an apparatus working on the east side of the building. We thought we hit their concern with the driveway across the other three sides, but she is looking for just a pathway. She's open to a reinforced turf, but this would allow ambulances and other emergency vehicles to reach on the east side of the building to all exits. As stated, there was a concern with the new front field and a lack of a vehicle barrier. So we're looking into options to provide that barrier, such as a timber guardrail on the perimeter of the field. And again, as Michael said, we have our meeting with all the security stakeholders next week, and this will be a topic of discussion to fine tune. The athletic director requested for the irrigation and possible sod at the new field and the stump field that we will be disturbing. And we can look at these elements. We'll try to get some pricing beforehand and then add them as an ad alternate so you can make a decision post bid. And also the fire marshals had stated a concern with the capacity of the cafeteria. I guess with past experiences, the capacity of the cafeterias have not been large enough. And after a few years when students might have been out of district and come back in district, the enrollment grows and now they can't function as originally planned. So today we did look at our 8-year enrollment projections, and we're at 826 students. And the cafeteria is designed for up to 900 students across 3 waves. So we do have some capacity for growth that would be potentially unexpected. Any questions or comments on these items? All right, moving down. So this is the RFP that was published. Most of it is the boilerplate items from the state or from the town. And our scope of work is a pretty basic 1-pager. So this consultant would come on board and review the documents for the code compliance and issue their report within 30 days of receiving their notice to proceed. So we're looking to have bids back, as I said, on March 25th. Looking to have present that at the next building committee meeting.
Is there a deadline for questions, Rob?
Yeah, it's the week before, so that would be March 18th. All right, any questions on the RFP? All right, so this is the updated multi-vista proposal. We did confirm there was a question last meeting about reimbursement eligibility, and we confirmed that the photo documentation piece would be eligible for reimbursement, and the webcam is not eligible for reimbursement. So what David put together here was a site progression over the course of construction of 2 times monthly, coming out with their camera and then also drone shots. So that's 2 times per month over 30 months. So that'd be start to finish. That also includes all the underground plumbing exact builts. So that's in coordination with Arcadis and Bismarck to have them out there prior to backfill of the underground piping so that those elements can be captured and documented and put to the plans. It also includes 2 times monthly interior progressions. So that's going to start after steel is erected and we have actual elevated building structures. They will come out 2 times monthly through the completion of the building. And then also includes the interior MEP exact built, so any in-wall mechanical, electrical, and plumbing elements in-wall and above ceiling. So that's a fixed price, and again, with coordination with Arcadis and Bismarck to make sure that they're out there to capture everything. And as David said, this is all can be adjusted if we want one visit per month, every 2 weeks, 2 times per month. So it is adjustable. I did send him the schedule, so this is based on the rough schedule that we have. We don't have the exact schedule, but this appears to be fairly close to what it should be. So again, this is the photo documentation. Did we want to take any action on this tonight, or, you know, there's still time, there's plenty of time to do that, but.
Might I suggest, Joe, that since whatever our next meeting is, we're going to an executive session, that we perhaps discuss this contract then with
Yeah.
Arcadis' input maybe, but certainly as part of an executive session.
Yeah, we have time on this, but I do like the idea of discussing, because it's quite a menu of services, and they're not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but they certainly will have value. Any of these services will have to come out of owner's contingency. There is no line item budget associated with the photo capturing of the information, so it'll have to come out of our contingency. So I think we want to probably talk about this in executive session at one of our subsequent meetings, and then decide if we want to do a part of it, we want to do all of it, or do we want to, you know, reduce some of the costs.
When do we have to decide this by? And one of the reasons I'm just thinking, I'm generally in favor of something like this being done for a project. I guess because of this is coming out of the owner's contingency, I guess in a perfect world, like to see what the bids are going to be for our project, so that we have some better handle on what we may or may not need the contingency for.
Sounds like the question is, can we take a look at this after we receive bids? Is that what you're asking, Andy?
Well, we can, yeah, we can talk about the extent of the photographing that they want to do, but yes, I guess that is my question, whether or not we can wait until we get our bids back.
Go ahead, Jack.
I think Jim was first.
Oh, Jim, sorry, didn't see your hand.
Yeah, a couple questions on this. One is, Robert, if you could, you mentioned a portion was reimbursable and a portion was not. Could you break that down to dollars? What dollars on the existing contract are reimbursable?
Yep. I didn't do the math here. This photo documentation piece is the fully reimbursable portion. So if we're looking at roughly 50, 60, 145,000. So that would be reimbursable. And we can talk about the webcam, which is here. What we've seen on other projects is you host this through Multivista, and you get the time lapse and everything. But with sometimes the school's IT department, purchases through the project a separate webcam system, and we set it up and we manage it in-house, and typically save some costs on the webcam side. And this 16,000, roughly 17,000 is not reimbursable, as it's not seen as a value added to the overall project from the state. It's a convenience or a nicety.
Have you worked on other projects with other schools where this has been used, and do you recommend it?
Yes, yeah. Currently at my Bullard Havens project, we have Multivista on staff for services, and it is a helpful tool. The facility staff appreciates it now that they're operating in the building. And it's nice to, even working through some closeout items and going back and having the timestamp on the exact location, to kind of vet through those items. So it is a helpful tool. It's beneficial for the life of the building.
And since it's all coming out of owners, well, there's only one contingency on this contract, on this, right? But there's no other contingency except owners in the budget, right? There's no CM contingency.
Yeah,
There's no.
there is a CM contingency, but that would be, not under owner's control, and that would be, we'll finalize that at the GMP
Okay.
when we finalize the contract.
So, I mean, if we have to lock in on this early on, we won't. It'll be out of the contingency before. Well, the contingency would be allocated prior to construction. Then, is that right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Whenever the committee decides if they want to use the surface, it would, we would go under contract with Multa Vista, and the contingency would be shifted then. But there is time. I mean, we have them on. They're showing here starting for the phase one, moving dirt and the geothermal, but we're not going to be starting foundations and underground until the fall. So, there is time to make a decision here.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for me.
Hey, Jack, did you have a question, or was it answered?
A couple of comments. First of all, looking at our budget, to Jim's point, owner contingency right now sits, as of the end of January, which was the version that I'm looking at here, owner's contingency sits at about $8.2 million. We also have budgeted in the owner's oversight category of the overall master budget, a line item called other consultants that's currently funded at $200,000, and $0 has been committed from that 200 so far. So there actually is a budget line that this could be allocated towards. As Rob said, the webcam is not eligible for reimbursement. On other projects, as Rob noted, the school's IT folks have done it. We've had it go different ways. One recent one was processed as a time lapse by a consultant that the IT people from the school hired. Very minimal fee to stitch things together from the webcam to create an actual time lapse. On other projects, we've done it where it does a sample photograph, say maybe every 15 minutes during the working day, 5 days a week. So there are different ways that can be formatted, again, utilizing district resources rather than using the outside vendor, which, again, in either case, it would be ineligible, but the out-of-pocket cost was lower when it was internally managed. So that's all I had to add for that.
Can I, Joe, I just want to follow up a little bit. I'm going a little bit afield here, but it is related. I'm just concerned, just keeping an eye on that contingency. The town is holding 6 contracts, right? As I understand, Jack, you said Rob gave you this information. You were good enough to get me this email about this. So we got the commissioning agent, structural review, code review, special inspector, material testing, and commercial moving. Are all those budgeted items, or would any of them be charged to the contingency?
We have individual line items for architect, owner's rep, commissioning, testing and inspections, moving, and this other consultants line. So again, we have not tapped the $200,000 yet. Things like the third-party reviewer, threshold reviewer, and multi-vista could come out of that line item that's presently $200,000. We might need to supplement some owner contingency dollars depending on what those final prices come in for. But it
Right,
would
so
not be a direct hit, 100% out of owner's contingency.
But it sounds like 2 or 3 of the contracts the town is holding will either come out of this special, whatever that other category of the 200,000 was,
The other consultants.
other consultant, and some potentially from the contingency, right?
Yeah, so threshold review and the code review are must-haves, Jim. So this video and this photographic is not a must-have, it's sort of a nice-to-have. So I think it might be prudent for us to get those other must-haves priced out and under our belt and see what we have left in our contingency for some of these things. But I think we do have some time to make a decision on this.
You know, Rob mentioned that he's using Multivista down at Bullet Havens. Not only are they using it, but it's the state requires that it be done on a state project. And projects that we're working on in Stamford with DSU, also the city of Stamford have adopted it as a standard that it's used. So it's fairly, it's not used on all of our projects, but we do see it fairly often.
It seems like a great idea. I wanted to see what we have for available dollars for it. Sure. Okay.
Okay, any other questions to Arcadis from the building committee?
I do have a question about the change order. I don't know if you want to handle it now or when Bismarck is up.
I think
We're
maybe what we
getting-
want
we're
to
getting
do
to
is
that.
explain it now, and then maybe we'll vote it later.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't understand it yet, but go ahead.
So I don't know, Jack or Rob, do you want to explain the RAM? Or
Yeah, you want to jump
don't
forward to that?
bother jumping. Don't jump. Just stay in order, and we'll come to it at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Jim, when we typically go to bid, it's the structural engineer's drawings of the building. And then once it's bid, the awarded steel contractor then does the detailing of the steel, how they are actually going to, it's, you know, their cutting list, you know, how they're actually going to process the material and turn it into pieces and parts that get assembled into our building. And there's a cost to that. So it happens on every project. What we're proposing here and what was discussed with the committee and what's been committed now to a number for approval tonight is to have that detailing work done prior to going to bid so that all of those detailed parts and pieces are explicitly outlined for the bidders so they know what the final product is going to look like, not just a matter of the structural engineer's layout of what the final thing should look like. We have found 2 benefits from that. Number one, by having this information up front, the bidders are more certain on what they're working on. It helps them sharpen their pencil on the actual calculations of the material and the labor that it's going to cost in order to put all the detailing and joints together. It also allows the procurement, the fabrication of this material to start weeks, if not months, earlier than it would if the bidder then has to go through this process after the bid is awarded. So that can speed up construction. We've had projects where the full building's worth of steel is sitting in the front yard on trailers while we're finishing up the last of the concrete, which is the ideal. You want everything prepped and ready to go. The secondary benefit is that we found in some cases it's cheaper to spend these dollars up front than for the iron worker to pay for this service down the road. That, you know, the resource that's being used now is actually more cost competitive than getting it through the steel contractor. So it's a nominal savings there, but the bigger savings on a sharper pencil on bid day by the steel contractors, and then the schedule benefit of having the jump start on fabrication. And we recommend it strongly on all of our projects because of those benefits.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Do you want to continue on your 90-day look ahead?
Sure.
Mr.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I might. The other meetings that are on Zoom tonight just ended, so we have the ability to do an executive session if this committee would like to.
I don't think that's needed, Bill. I don't think we've got that on our list tonight. So Jack,
Okay,
do you want to
no
continue?
problem.
Thank you for that update though, Bill.
Go
All
ahead, Rob.
right, looking at our 90-day look ahead here, we are going to get our bids back from the third-party structural reviewer and third-party code reviewer, and we'll be looking to make selections on the bidders. We're looking to have a bit TSKP. We met earlier today, talked about schedule here. So the phase 1 construction documents for civil work and the bid package that Bismarck wants to put together will be complete this month. We're looking at around the 25th, the last week or second to last week of the month. And then we were discussing the procedure for this building committee and the Board of Ed to approve those phase 1 documents in their meeting. So it looks like the Board of Ed is meeting on April 7th. And our building committee meeting is falling on the 24th. So we are trying to tighten up that window a little bit to give TSKP as much time as they can to put the package together. And we would be requesting a potential special building committee meeting on the 31st we'll review the documents and then look for approval. We've done this in the past, similar to this type of meeting on Zoom, so it could be efficient. It can be in person as well if desired, but that would be a request of ours so we can have a week in between the two meetings rather than 2 weeks. Looking ahead go ahead, Jack.
In our meeting with the superintendent and other district staff the other day, there was a strong recommendation by the superintendent that for the Board of Ed's comfort in doing something they don't typically do, which is reviewing and approving documents to go to bid, or to be submitted to the state for review, rather. He felt that having the building committee's approval in advance of putting it in front of the Board of Ed would expedite the process and give them a comfort level. That's the reason that we would be requesting a special meeting on the 31st instead of using our first meeting in April for the building committee. So it's.
Hey, Jack, I got a question about that, the phase 1. Are we going to get an estimate that goes along with that package?
Yes, we will.
Okay. So that'll be part of our review and our sign off prior to the Board of Ed?
It'll be drawings, project manual, and estimate presented as a package for your approval.
Okay, thank you.
As we work through April, we'll set our OGA PCR meeting. Typically there is a follow-up process, and then there is a period where it takes them to initiate the letter giving us approval. So we need to budget some time for the PCR process. There's been a lot of talk over the last several months with the OSTA approval. So from when the OSTA package was submitted, giving us the time frame that we thought it might take, we should be seeing the OSTA approval back in April, which is also needed to go up to bid. And looking further ahead in May is when we start the bidding process with Bismarck putting the packages out to the street, and then finalizing phase 2 documents and the cost estimating period of phase 2. And then we also have the third-party reviewers engaging on the phase 2 plans. So those reviews will be starting close to the time of cost estimating and running through that process, running through that period and then the reconciling of those comments would be happening. All right, so have the schedule here. Really no changes from the last meeting. We did discuss potentially moving this out to March 31st. So we have the building committee and board of ed approving on the 31st and the 7th. Any questions on the schedule? All right, moving on to project budget summaries. So no changes. We'll have our updated financials at the next meeting. I know there was a question on the return period for OGA on the reimbursements. So their typical tracks about 90 days. Sometimes we see up to 120 days. So that's it's a 3-month cycle. So this note here was for the end of January. Our requisition 1 was submitted, and we should be seeing our reimbursement payment in April. So it's a 90-day cycle. And then, as we shared before, our owner contingency is still sitting strong at 8 million, just over 8.2 million. Any questions on finances? And then in our packet here, we did have the change order 1 from Bismarck. So it's on the AIA document. It does have, it's a total cost of $172,700. In the backup details the scope of work for RAM drafting and includes a Bismarck markup of 10% on the cost of the professional service. This is a change order for their pre-construction contract.
And if I may, I'll state again, these are dollars that we were going to spend anyway, whether through the steel contractor or now purchasing this service up front. So it's not as though this is in any way in addition to the cost of the project. It's an early spend of dollars we needed to spend someday anyway.
Is the 10% general contractor override, was that anticipated as part of their pre-construction contract as an override on services obtained by them?
Generally, markups on professional services that are subcontracted is typically 10%. So this is not out of the ordinary.
Thanks.
That concludes my packet. So I think, Joe, you would like to take action on this at the end of the agenda when you have action items on the
Yeah,
agenda?
we'll make that part of item number 5.
Joe, I just have a quick, I'm sorry,
Yeah, go ahead,
sorry.
Ann.
No
I
problem.
just have
see
a
your
quick
hand.
question. Sorry, but anyway. So wait, Jack, so you're saying that ultimately this money was part of a bigger, like it's not an additional expense. It was part of our original
And
whatever.
typically, this is Greg from Bismarck. Typically,
Sorry,
the
yeah.
detailing for the structural components of the project is in our budget. So it's already in the budget of the structural package.
Okay.
We're just going to be paying this sooner. But not only that, you're getting it at a less cost because when they do it, like we've spoken to different contractors, and when I shared, costs about where the detailing would be, they're like, pay them. It's so it takes the estimate out of the drawings. It gives you accurate and actual quantities, which just takes a lot of guesswork out, which is going to help us get more competitive pricing. But one caveat that he didn't, I think Jack didn't share is it really shakes out any change orders that might happen. So that's resolved early on here in pre-con with the structural engineer and the detailer. So all those little costs of this clip goes here, that's already resolved by the time the bid documents are ready.
It's a very good point, Greg.
Thank
So
you.
actually, this also serves as kind of a risk reduction opportunity.
Correct.
And Greg, wouldn't the corresponding structural steel cost estimate in theory be reduced by this amount?
Correct.
Yeah,
It's
so
straight deduct to
Right.
the estimated package.
Thank you. Super helpful. People were asking me questions. I'm like, I have to go to the meeting first before I have an answer.
Okay, any other questions for Arcadis before we jump to Bismarck and Greg? All right, so Greg, you're up.
Good evening. I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to, having my normal PowerPoints, and it'll be pictures of the job going along and detailed. But now I'm just going to hit our action items of what we've been working on here the past 2 weeks. We did meet with the fire marshal and reviewed all the site logistics. We met with her early on before I opened it up to anybody else, because we all know she has a vision for the site regarding safety and the fire. So she did discuss about fortifying that front field. Michael gave me some sketches today that we're going to be working on pricing a railing around the front field. So that's one thing we're going to be working on behind the scene over the next week. The other one we did meet with is the police chief, and we reviewed all the site safety signage that'll be leading up Daniel's Farm and down Daniel's Farm, and the loop of coming out of the main gate at Daniel's Farm for trucks. We're gonna have a right turn only, and it's gonna loop around off of Strobel. So he approved that, and his traffic commission in town also approved the site logistics. Over the past month, we've been working on our rough drafts for these bid packages. Site package, we're going to be meeting with Michael and his team next week just to iron out a few of the civil concerns we have and really lock in this bid package for the next phase. We updated our pre-construction schedule, and we'll be sharing that. That's in my package here. I'll send over to you, Joe. And then the last meeting we had last week was with Alvin Bingham from CHRO to review and discuss packages. When we meet with the Connecticut Commission of Human Rights, they kind of, I say, let's do just one electrical package. They suggest break it into the fire alarm, communications, giving opportunity to more small business opportunity, which went well. So we're going to be having another meeting with him, showing what bid packages we see here for the project. Let's see what else I had here. Last one. Probably next meeting, you'll start seeing our preliminary construction schedule. I think we had it always as July 6th, starting after the Trumbull Day weekend. All right, but that's all I had here for the past 2 weeks. And if you have any questions, feel free.
Are there any questions for Greg? Greg, I just had one question on this phase one. How many packages do you anticipate putting on the street?
We would only like to have a site package, but I did speak with Alvin the other day from CHRO, and we're debating putting over just a temporary fence package to give opportunity for small businesses.
Okay. So are you including any utilities in this first package?
Yes, and just because the way the site is, where the water we have to catch at Daniel's Farm and bring direct, it would be nice to get a lot of the utilities in first, prior to excavation for foundations. And not only that, we did, to minimize the exposure to the town with cost, we were talking about removing site concrete, which would be sidewalks and curbs, and having that in phase two. We also discussed having permanent fencing in phase two, also taking the landscaping out of the site package, having that in phase two. And this would just help reduce the overall cost of that original site package.
Okay. Are you drilling geothermal wells in phase one, or are you waiting for phase
Yes,
two on that?
we would like to get the geothermal wells started in the site package.
Okay, good. Good. So I suspect that might be a separate package, or do you have something else in mind?
For the geothermal wells, it's typically in the site package, how we've seen it of recent. It's how we just actually did it in Stanford, so it worked well. And we end up having some competitive pricing for that.
So rather than a separate package, you just put it under the site and they'll have their sub on there.
Correct.
Okay, good. Sounds good. Are there any questions? Any other questions for Greg? No? Okay. We're going to move on to the next item, which is the date of the next meeting. So we're going to need to discuss some of the options associated with the next meeting, because my understanding is March 10th, which is our normally scheduled meeting. There is a school event, parent teacher conferences. I think, Jeff, is that what I understand from your email?
Yeah, the Hillcrest conferences are that night.
Okay, is this generally with other schools in town the same night, or is it just the Hillcrest?
Probably Madison. Fran, I don't know if Fran could answer for when the Trumbull High ones are.
No, ours are this week.
Yours are this week? Okay, so Jeff, you would be the only one with a conflict then next week, correct?
No, I might be a little bit late getting there. That's all.
Okay. Next week's our regular scheduled meetings. Anybody have a conflict, or are we okay to schedule it? It's going to be probably relatively quick meeting with an executive session. And I'd like to make it in person. So everybody okay with that? Okay, fantastic. So we'll just hold March 10th as the next meeting, and we'll check with Barbara. I'm pretty sure it's going to be at Town Hall, but I'll verify that and get an agenda out to everybody. All right.
It might, I think next week is that good? The evening is good because the town hall's occupied during the day, but the evening should be all right. Thanks, Bill.
Is that good, Bill? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, that's a regular 7 o'clock is what we're going to shoot for. All right. So that didn't go as bad. As you heard, we're going to have to probably have a special meeting at the end of the month, 31st. So on the 10th, we'll decide whether or not we need to meet before the 31st. There is a conflict. I'm going to be away the 24th of March. And I think
Joe, but isn't the special meeting April 31st?
No, that would be March 31st, prior to the Board of Ed meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, because the board wants to get our endorsement before they put their endorsement on. Okay. So the 24th, both Andy and I think you're away, Andy. I know I'm away.
Unfortunately, I am.
So we're probably going to want to skip that one and maybe just do the 24th in lieu of that. And what we'll have to do is hear from Barbara about where it could occur. And that's also going to be a very limited agenda meeting, most likely, unless something is that needs some action, or we need to add a few items onto that agenda.
So Joe, to clarify, are you saying skip the 24th and just do the 31st?
Yeah, because we're not around, Jack. Andy and I are both gone. If one or the other were around, we'd still have that meeting, but we're both away. And for the record, not together.
Although I think we're both going to be in Florida.
Yeah.
We could arrange to meet if you'd like.
That's a good idea. All right. So we'll plan on March 10th as the next meeting. Next item on the agenda is the action and approval. What I'd like to do is ask somebody to make a motion to approve change order for Bismarck 001 in the amount of $172,700. That's the correct number, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Can I get a second? Or actually, somebody make a motion on that?
So moved.
Yeah, Dan.
Okay, Ann, that's Ann. And who's the second?
Andy.
Andy. So any other discussions, any other questions about this? No? Okay. All in favor, say aye. And please, I'm gonna read your names and you guys tell me yay or nay. Okay, Andy.
Aye.
JC.
Aye.
Bill.
Yay.
Fran. Fran?
Yay.
Yay. Ann.
Yay.
John.
Aye.
Jeff.
Yay.
Okay.
Joe, yay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. It'll be good expenditure. And just for the record, I've done this many times and it does work very well for everybody. It'll be a good use of money. So that's really all on our agenda tonight. Anybody have anything else they want to ask about or any other concerns? No? Okay. So could I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion. Oh, it's a second.
Who was that? Was that Bill first?
I deferred. I'll second the motion.
Okay, who was first?
I made the motion, JC.
Oh, JC, perfect. So JC and then Bill second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening and we'll see you a week from tonight. Okay.
Thank you. Have a good